could not, I didn't fucking work for 3 years. I was
crazy.
out of money. My podcast at the time, I still have it, We'll See You in Hell, which now does really well. But at the time, we almost stopped it because we were like, we've been doing this for almost 5 years. It's not making a fucking time. Everything was just coming to a head in the wrong way. And I was like, I got to move to New York. I have to move back to New York. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't be proactive in this city. I can't. I had 2 pilots sell, go to fall apart in negotiations. We lost the pilots. I sold 2 movies that never came to fruition.
I mean, you wrote them? Is that
like wrote them, sold the idea for like, sorry, I shouldn't say sold. Had the idea sort of commissioned into development for like a few grand. Mm-hmm. And then the idea was, we'll make this and then we'll give you a lot of money. And it never fucking happened. Like,
I feel like that happens. Like,
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, it's like for me, the moment I would think of, hey, I made it, is like 10 steps early.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, we're shooting your pilot. I'd be like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not even close.
Dude,
Crazy.
it was a brutal run, and I was like, I have to move home, and I remember trying to move. I moved back to New York almost entirely on credit cards. I was in so much fucking debt when I got back here, and I started doing comedy all the time again. And I was like, this is why I came back. I can be proactive. I can start rebuilding
so you weren't really
myself.
doing comedy in LA?
There was nowhere to do it. Like the venues, one of the main venues to do it in was the Meltdown Comics room, Nerd Melt. That closed.
Like the spots that
I
are
couldn't
here
get
now?
past
Like
at the store.
Okay, yeah.
The Improv used me sporadic. There just isn't stage time. There's just not a lot of stage time. Anyway, I moved back to New York and I started doing a lot of comedy. I was doing all the big clubs in New York. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is why I moved back. And I started making some money just doing sets again. And I was like, I'm going to rebuild myself as a comedian.
Fuck yeah.
And then pandemic.
Yeah.
And
But
that was the darkest I ever.
Was it? 'Cause
it's as close as I've ever shaved to suicide. Was in the early.
Have some serious
we getting
thoughts?
ideation level?
I was the first. I don't know that I had any thoughts of actually doing it, but that was the first time in my life, the only time in my life, where I had people calling me and saying, "We want to come get you. We're worried.
Are you okay?" Sort of thing.
It was bad. It was dark.
Yeah.
And then it all turned around amidst all of that.
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
Weirdly.
that's funny because a lot of comics thrived and like exploded during the pandemic. And I feel like that's when I really started to pay attention to you and your work, is like through that. Maybe I'm just not remembering it, like the timeline, but I feel like that's when you started to pick up.
Yeah, that's when I met you.
Yeah.
It was definitely after Saul, because I remember watching I didn't watch Better Call Saul until later. And I remember like the first season or two where I was like, wait, is that Joe? That's fucking Joe right there.
How did that come about, by the way? Just auditioned?
Just auditioned,
That's so
and
crazy.
they were really nurturing and really good to me.
Awesome.
They still stay in touch with everybody, and not everybody, but a lot of the guys. Jonathan, I still talk to, and
The best.
he's awesome. So yeah, and so anyway, Bourdain was the whole point. Sorry.
No, I love these podcasts that.
Yeah, it was Bourdain. I saw a thing where he was like, I couldn't pay my rent, and I just was like, and he goes, and he's describing this whole thing, and I'm like, almost getting like teary eyed, like Jesus Christ, like I get this, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, this must have been when he was in like his 30s or 20s or something. And then he goes, I was 44, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, you don't realize that.
Yeah, and he said, but this is the part that really stuck with me. Because I'm 45 now. I feel like the pieces started for me to come together when I was around 43. I by no means feel like, oh, I've made it, or I can coast, or I don't feel anything like that. I feel certain things, which is I have 2 podcasts that are doing well, and I'm very happy about that, They might not be in the top 10 of comedy podcasting, but they do well,
Sure.
and they're
matters.
out there, and people are listening, and fans are out there, and I feel so grateful for that. I feel so grateful that I get to go on the road now and do the types of venues I want to do, the types of shows I want to do, the type of material I want to do without any question, without any pushback, any problems. And then I have Joey Rose's in New York,
I was
the
just saying,
bar
you
and
have a
sandwich
whole
shop.
dream set up, you know?
These things, I'm so lucky to be doing this stuff at my age at 45. And he says in this thing, and I had thought this weirdly almost around the same age. He talks about he sold this art, or his article got sold to the New Yorker, I think it was, or it got published in something, and then he got his book deal, and that was like what started the dominoes.
Mm-hmm.
That book becoming
falling.
such a I don't want to call it. We actually kind of talked about it with Sopranos recently, where it became like aspirational. And like I remember like hearing about Kitchen Confidential so much, and I read that later in life too, and I was like, how the fuck do people read this and be like, that's what I want to do?
Yeah,
like it is like the whole book is like we're doing black tar heroin in the back room. I was like, I don't find a different field.
Well, he says in that interview, and this is the line that stuck in my head. He was like, I was very cognizant to not fuck this up, because he realized after all this shit was finally coming together.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, man, that's how I feel. Like, don't fuck it up, dude. Like, you know.
It really is wild, though. People don't realize how long it can take, how old people are, how even, like, comparing, you know, you're like, maybe my show's not, like, top 5, but it's like, you know, there can only be 1 or 2 of the best shows out there. The rest are, you know, it's like on TV. It's like every different night of the week you watched your favorite show of that. There's plenty of space. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of, you know, fans. There's plenty of everything, where it's like the idea that you have to make every dollar, be the absolute most liked, favorite, top, whatever, or do the most, you know? It's like we are calling our tour the one show only tour. We're not adding shows. If we sell out the Wilbur and we're happy with that, we're done. Because I don't want to add the second one, and then you struggle, and then you get upset, and now what should have been like amazing achievement, we're now looking at it as negative, and
that's smart.
You know, and it's just like you could do that forever. You could just keep adding and adding and adding, and I mean we've actually done a great deal of that in our careers. But I think it's time.
Exclusively.
I think in the internet world there are a zillion failures. You know, let's say like 99% of people who set out fail. Then there's, in that 1%, there's a small sliver that just skyrockets because they had the right show or the right TikTok or whatever. And then the rest of us are kind of chasing that. And you got to keep up with the Joneses. You got to download the new app, and you got to try the new formats and all that shit. I think if you jump on a rocket ship right away and you're at the top, God bless you. And if it's something you can keep riding till you're dead, then you've made it. But there's a lot of people, like you said, those first 3 years, you were like, I'm good. But then, you know, you might right now you might be thriving on TikTok, and then the government shuts it down, and you're like, I don't have any other skills because I got lucky doing this, you know?
I feel really lucky that my eggs were never in one basket, and it's been stressful, you know, and keeping those balls in the air is stressful.
You're juggling, right.
But I feel very lucky. I look back on things now that didn't work out, that at times I was ready to hang it all up over. And I go, thank God that didn't happen.
Right.
I was so misfocused. Like I thought that's what I wanted, but I didn't. And now because that didn't happen, it made me do all this other stuff. And now I get to do it like this, and this is way better. I will not function well. I would not have functioned well as an all eyes on me guy. Like I just wouldn't have.
Do you know why that? You think mentally, or you think you just like?
I worry.
Oh, you're a pig. Is that
I'm a pig.
You're a pig. Wait a minute. This guy's
No, I worry about everything. I have anxiety. It's a constant struggle.